Hello everybody and welcome back to Skylines Vanilla Series with me, TW1. In this episode, I'm going to try and take you through my thought process of how I add a new area to the map and how I try to make sure I limit the traffic problems, and then I also try and use some of these little graphs on the left hand side to try and help out the city overall. So let's pause the city, let's have a little look at a few things. You should be always checking these, you should be always going through, having a little look, and we've spoken about this the last couple of episodes, but with this one right here, which is not natural resources, I have clicked on the wrong tab. Where am I? Outside connections shows us our import and our export. So as you can see, we are importing all of these goods. So oil products, which is fueling our oil industry, a sliver of agriculture, a load of mail, a sliver of ore products, and an absolute ton of goods. These goods are fueling our commercial buildings, and that, I think, costs money. Don't quote me, but I feel like if you're importing a good from a neighbouring city, it should cost you money. If the game simulates that or not, I don't know, but that is something that I would like to try and role-play myself. If we look at our export, we are not exporting many goods. We are exporting, a good amount of fish, good amount of agricultural products, forestry, bit of oil, a sliver of ore, I don't know why we're doing that, and mail. But yeah, our goods production is very, very low, and that is because if we come out of that view and we go into our view that shows our industry tab, this little industry down here, Cypress Hills, should I say, is the industry that we first ever put in. We first put in our map. When we built this island, this industry was just meant to fuel this island, which I think it is doing well and all. We've then, since then, added a lot, like a massive amount. This over here is about 4 or 5k a population. We've got another 45k all over the place. We don't really have any goods industry to fuel any of that, apart from a little sliver over here, which is helping our fishing industry island out. So, that is something that I would like to solve. We would also then like to try and solve a couple of other things. We're going to be adding into this area. This is already a high density area. Traffic around here isn't dreadful, it's not terrible, but we have in past episodes added in like little byroads to help out this roundabout and other little things like that. So any roads that we add into this area is just going to make it harder for us. So we need to try and limit that the best we can. And the best way I do that is when you have this situation in the game, when you are, at the 45, 50k population, you have, a few million in the bank. I have 10 million because I do decorating while I play on 1 speed, and that gains you lots and lots of money really quick. That's a little trick for you guys if you didn't know. When you have all of this money, you have no rush in the world for your new areas. So you can sit there and you can play and you can tinker and you can make them the best you can make them, and there's no need to rush them. So what I've done is I've worked out what I want to be doing with a little bit of mental planning in my house. So first and foremost, I've removed all the trees from the area, because trees in the base game, vanilla base games, mean frames per second. So every single tree that you remove helps your frames per second out, because it helps your processor out. That is a little trick for you guys. Obviously, the odd tree or here and there is not going to help you out, but if you delete masses of them, it is going to help you out over the long run. You should also be placing all the trees yourself manually, because then it looks better. It's just something, it's a good habit to get into. I've also played around with the train. You may have noticed it, but over here is dipped down. I've done that for a couple of reasons. Noise pollution is a killer when it comes to parts of my city. I have noticed that, those parts of my city are not exactly happy with the noise. This guy over here, for example, living opposite the cable car stop, is not exactly happy, but we want to try and limit that the best we can. We can do that with a couple of ways. Terrain is a great one. Trees is another one. So we're down here. We're going to put industry in this area, by the way. And the fact that we are lower down in the natural terrain should then buffer the sound to make it a little bit better on the surrounding areas. Get out of my face, Discord. Right, with that out of the way, Discord out of the way, I'm going to continue our ramble. We are then going to try and separate the industry to our residentials. That's something you always should be doing and always try to plan. This highway junction, for example, is, I think, the perfect distance. Like, if you look at the distance, this is probably the closest house, for example, and the nearest industry is probably over there. That's a good large distance, so it's not going to be affected. It's also got a highway in the way to buffer it, which it means it's going to be a noisy area. It doesn't mean it's going to get polluted ground, so the citizens aren't going to get sick, which is something that you also need to be careful about. And we're then going to look at our noise pollution as well in this area, because we know that we're going to add in some noise in here. It's always going to be a noisy area. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Just same for this area over here. And this area, for example, has the train station. So the train station is going to be noisy naturally. So we might as well add to the noise and not add noise anywhere else that we don't need to. So we can throw a few shops in here and then maybe line this road-ish with some offices, and then that will buffer the sound. So what I'm thinking is, let's just do some quick painting with some districts, shall I say, not industries, districts. So this little triangle in here is going to be housing, and that is all it's going to be. We're then going to try and work out roads in a little bit later. This section in here, we're going to put in some businesses. Let's just quickly roughly put in some districts there as well. And this big area over here, this like combined area, that I'm going to incorporate all of this in there, and all of that, like there. That is going to be our industry area as well. So we're going to try and plan it out so there's no industry slap bang up against our residential. And then from there, we obviously know that, you know, this area, for example, should probably be a little strip of commercial or offices, and same for here, and then we can move back into housing. It's all about planning, and it's all about, you know, taking your time, because there is no rush at this point. When you get to this point in the game, there's no need to rush. Just play around, have fun with your little designs, and try and create something unique and interesting. I just noticed I've made a slight little change of mind with what I want to be doing with the train, so I'm going to get rid of that. Right, with that all gone, let's talk roads, because roads are going to be what make or break your city. We're going to do something first that is going to help our road system out. So I have a rough idea of what I want to be doing with roads. I want to connect it in here around this area, because I don't think that junction is exactly important, so it's not going to be that busy. And there should be just enough room between this junction for the game to sort itself out. Plus we're using the asymmetrical roads, we'll use some more asymmetrical roads. But they're going to run it through here, underneath this bridge, into here, and then it's going to disappear underground, and I'm hoping I can connect it into this roundabout. Let's see if there's a node that we can connect to. There is a node, there's a couple of nodes available, so we're going to see if we can get a road to go underground. Yeah, it might be a weird angle, it might not be the prettiest of things, but it's going to be very helpful for our traffic, because I don't want to add any more roads junctions to this one right here, and I don't really want to add any to this either, which is going to make our life pretty hard. Become the residents and separate it then. I'm just going to add walking paths over the top. That's probably going to be the easiest way of solution. It's just walking paths, and then we can maybe add a connection this side of the highway that loops in underneath, and that could then be the road connection that feeds this area. It's all about planning, it's all about, you know, patience. So what I like to do with my roads is I like to work out what is my main road going to be. So I'm just going to select this basic road down here. We're going to come out of underground view, and we're just going to start drawing it in the best we can. Now, as you can see, it's slightly trying to bend away, like it's not wanting to snap in there the way we want it. Like, it's always changing that angle. If we have that situation, just break that connection, put the road in to where you want it to be going, so it should be about there, and then you just redraw in the road. And as we've done that, as we've already broken up the connection, we might as well make these roads asymmetrical roads, because we know that is what we are going to want them to be, and then later on we can fence them off, so there's no, you know, there's no zoning on this road, for example. We don't want any of that. And then we can continue that road all the way through here in a certain manner. Now, are you going to sneak underneath that bridge? Not a chance. That is really irritating, so I'm going to be back and just move that bridge 1 second. And then from there, we can continue our road up underneath this highway. That is a tad tight, but the game is allowing me to go under, so I don't particularly care. Thank you very much. And then at some point, I would like to dip underground. As you can see, the train is now starting to raise at a extreme level. If we bring up the train tool, for example, this is where you could use the train tool for your advantage. So it's now starting to level up. It's been a gradual slope, and then it's going up quite a height quite quickly. So this would be the perfect time to tunnel, because it would be the most natural, I think. So we're going to try and tunnel a nice long tunnel as well, so it looks nice and smooth. And there we go. We've got it so it's almost flat with the road, so it then goes perfectly into the hillside, you could say, and that looks really, really natural and looks really, really good to me. We're then just going to continue that road underneath here. The only problem is that there is a train track in the way, so we're going to have to dip down probably a couple more just to get underneath there. That's a real pain in the backside, that is. I did not realise that train track was there. Let's see if I can get underneath it. Can I get underneath that? No, I'm going to have to delete that train track and replace the train track, I think. That is what we're going to do. 1 second. There we go, train track and road is in. I've also connected up to this roundabout at this angle. This is not exactly ideal. It's too close to this roundabout, but we made a decision because I've watched this roundabout in the past and it's not very busy, meaning you can add this. If you've got a roundabout, for example, say this one over here, which is notoriously busy, we've changed it multiple times to try and help it deal with the traffic flow that we're throwing through it. Don't add an extra connection to it, leave it alone. That is as much as it can handle. If you have a roundabout like this one over here, which is not being used greatly, it's okay to add maybe one more road connection to it on a random angle. I wouldn't add any more than this. And also, if you're going to add road connections to a roundabout off and off angle, make sure you use a node and make sure you don't come off at a weird spot, because otherwise it will break it and bend it, and you don't want to be doing that to your roundabout. So the basis of our main road is in. We're going to then allow ourselves to play around with a couple of asymmetrical roads just to either end, just to help the game out a tad. So, you know, 2 little turning lane arrows there will help the traffic flow out. We're also going to do another one over here as well. You're like, oh, it's a roundabout. Why do you need 2 learning lanes? Because the game will use both of them when it comes to the roundabout. It will say, hey, I could also flip it and make it so this is a dedicated turning lane if I wanted to, which isn't a dreadful idea, which we may actually do instead. If you don't like this inside lane right here would then go, okay, I'm not going to be going immediately left, so I will then stay on this lane and then take that road all the way around. But by flipping it, you're then going to allow the game to have this dedicated turning lane for this position right here, which is then should allow more traffic to flow out of this junction, because it will then know when it can and when it cannot go. That is the plan of action anyway. Under this tunnel, we are not going to keep it as a normal road. We're going to upgrade it to a highway road, because the highway roads are a lot faster. They are 100 speed compared to 40, and that honestly will help you out a lot. So if we actually get underneath view, make sure we actually upgrade the right road and not the wrong road, because otherwise that will make us a sad panda. And we have just done that. We're then just going to continue all of this because we want this clean zoning. We don't want any zoning on this main road, so we're just going to use the highway road for now as our little guide for that. That is the only thing we're going to be using. We're going to use it as a guide, because then we'll be able to see in a moment when we put in the extra roads in where all of the zoning is going to be, because eventually this will be probably an asymmetrical road at multiple points, but we're going to use fencing to hide up the zoning to make it clean and crisp. Before we add any more roads in though, I want to add in a public transport option, and that public transport option is going to be a tram. We've already got trams over here. We've got a little transport hub building up eventually. The tram stops, the train, and you know, the train takes you off to the multi, which then takes you to wherever you want to go all over the place. So we're just going to add another tram. What I'm thinking is, if we're not going to zone, we're not going to add any road connections to this road, so we might as well hug this road with our tram all the way around here, all the way around here. Do something with this roundabout. Probably have to go over the top of it. I'm not thinking... Yeah, we can't go underground because there's the train tracks underground, and then pop out the other side and do a little roundabout. So let me just do that now. I'm just going to connect this in here. So I'm going to come straight to about there. Then we're going to do a nice little 90-degree turn. The straighter you can keep your public transport line, especially trams, metros, monorails and trains, the faster they do go. So gradual curves are the way to go, but I do like the look of, you know, little tight turns every now and then. It adds a little cool. We can add fencing, add some trees, and that is a mess of wires, isn't it? That is the only thing I don't like about the trams, is the amount of poles and wires you get. A little bit messy. So now we have this road, and we have this all the way through. We can then go in and we can add in all of the roads that we want in certain areas for whatever we want when it comes to our zonable. And because we're using the highway road at the moment, none of the zoning is being popped up, so we're going to see exactly where the zoning is going to be on our roads that we want to be zoned on. So for example, we get, you know, the maximum zoning on this road we can see exactly where it's going. So, you know, a little asymmetrical road at the end is going to be very, very nice. We're just going to dot in a couple of different little connections. We don't want them too close to each other. We just want, you know, a little connection every now and then. And we're going to try and utilise as much space as we can. If you want to try and utilise all of the space in the world, you then just follow that guideline, and then you will get that 4 up against that road, which is perfect. We might do that here, and then just boop him in like that, and then we get a maximum amount of zoning. And then we could even bring him up, and then maybe across the top. There we go. And then he's going to be able to connect into this other road eventually. We will change what road types we'll be using when we get them all in place. Just using one for now. If you want to be really clever about it, use the dirt one. Save yourself all of the pennies in the world, and then you can do whatever you wish. What is that? Yes, I use Filmora. Thank you, game. Get out of my face, PC. What are you doing? What are you doing today? That is terrible. We have this weird little bump at the moment, and I don't particularly like it because it's ruining the zoning. So we're going to get rid of that bump. We're going to show you how to get rid of that. We're going to delete that road like there, and then we're just going to try and etch it back in, just very, very gently and very, very slowly. So let's see if we can do that. You go there, then you go there, then you go there, then you connect up, and it hasn't given me the zoning back. That's not exactly ideal. What if I update you? No, it's not having any of it, is it? We're going to have to just deal with not having that zoning, which is not exactly ideal and not exactly what I wanted, but it's going to be something that we just have to, you know, understand and accept, I suppose. It's not going to be happy about it, but whatever. And then we'll connect them to up in a straight line in there to try and incorporate most of that as possible. And then same for this as well, just bring some roads down at a nice angle somewhat, and then add in some extra roads. So if I wanted to, for example, grab all of that zonable space in there, or then just drag that road in a nice straight line, and then we can hook him up, and then we can hook that one up there as well. And then it's close enough to the tram track, so we can add little tram stops and little pathways. That is going to be very easy to do. We could even just extend that a tad, just to get as much as we can. And that will be all of the commercial that we put in this area. We may put some services in this area as well. And once that's done, we're going to then do the same thing over at the industry. We obviously know for the industry, we're going to be using the industry roads. You boop into there. That is a better connection, so you don't have to use that main road if you don't wish so. And that is that for all of the roads and all of the planning. We need to do one more thing though. That is the gloriousness of walking paths, because walking paths will save your bacon in many, many spaces and many, many times. So we're just going to hook some quick little walking paths up to our tram stops, wherever we expect to put our tram stops. So I expect to put one on this roundabout, for example, right in there. We may even sneak one, maybe he just comes up and stops in and around this area as well. We may need to put in some little tunnels just to get people from one side to the other, so we can do that. No problemo, we'll just come across and then boop up like that. That doesn't look great. I'll play around with that off screen, I think, because otherwise that's going to be a pain in the backside. How about that? How about that? That doesn't look dreadful. That looks alright, and then they can get to the other side of the road. Well, the other side of the tram track, so they can get on either side. That's why you do that. And then the same needs to be done for over here as well. Just some more little quick connections. So you boop, you are connected up. And then right here, for example, we can boop up. See, it's very easy to connect to, say, for example, right there. We can connect to right there and then be able to get to wherever they want. But they're then going to be crossing over the tram tracks. You don't want that because they're then going to be interfering with the tram. So we might as well force them to go either above ground or overground. Or, you know, a bridge or underground. So we might as well try and get them to go over the top of this tram track. Let's see if we can get them to go over the top through the middle. That would be quite nice, wouldn't it? So that is probably all I would add to this area. You then obviously just run your tram stop, for example. You run your tram line, so we're going to make a stop in and around here somewhere, maybe. So, the bridge is here, so we might as well make it by the bridge, just to be nice to people. You can then stop in and around this area the best as possible. I'll probably move these pathways so they're close to the tram stops. In and around this area, that's not dreadfully far off where I want it to be. And then in and around on that, and then all the way back there, and connected up. We'll then paint you in a different colour, just so I know you're a different colour, so you can be not green, because we've already got a green. Might as well have a blue. We need to add a little tunnel/bridge for this one and break that path connection, because that's in the wrong place. So where was the tram stop? The tram stop is where them signs are, I believe. Yeah, they are. So that doesn't look dreadful at all. So we've now just designed an area. We've designed our road layout is set up. We need to put in services, and then we need to zone it. So I'm going to call that a success. We're now going to zone it up and watch none of this grow, because it's not actually we haven't got as much demand for industry as I ideally want. We will play around with a couple of themes, a couple of policies. So in this area, we are in a posher area of the city. We're in a higher educated area of the city. So we might as well say, hey, you need to be the Industry 4.0, which will allow the highly educated workers to come here and work, and it works then a little bit more efficiently. We will filter industry waste, so we have a little bit less pollution. And that should be that. Nothing else I want to be doing. Maybe we do that. Industrial space planning. We try and boost the amount of goods that we produce in this area. Try and maximise the efficiency of this industry zone. Let's do that. And then taxation-wise, we're going to leave that alone. And there needs to be nothing else in this area. Do we like ban pets? Let's ban smoking and ban pets in this area. We don't want any people walking their pets in the industry zone. That's disgusting. And then for our commercial zone, let's pick out the Modern City Centre pack for our theme, so it matches the rest of the city as we are in the high-rise area. We can put in a boost to parks. We haven't put any parks in. That may be something that we do next episode. There is a couple of gaps or a couple of few parks that we can throw in. That'd be something quite fun to do. And is there any other policies that will help this area out? For example, no. Free Wi-Fi has reminded me I need to put a mail place in, because I always forget the post office. Post office by commercial zone is the way I think that should go. Or do we put it by the industry? By the commercial. So Granny can walk to the shops and not get scared that she's walking through an industrial zone. And there should be no more other policies I already want to add to this area, is there? No, of course. If you've got a name for an industry area or name for one of these districts, by all means, put it in the comments. Put it in the comments, and let's allow people to smoke the good, so they can be happy. And that should be that. High ticket prices is tempting, because I'd like to make some money out of my public transport, but that's not going well. Now it's time for me to zone this all up, and time for a little time lapse, and hope that it all works, because otherwise I'm going to be sad. Very, very quickly, before we go and get these buildings building, I need to lay in fences, and I need to change some of these roads to asymmetrical roads. So fencing first, very quickly. We're just going to throw some fences in, no real issues with that. We're just going to use a bog standard park fence. We're going to then turn off all of this stuff and just then keep on angle. We're then just going to try and line it up with the best spot possible and just drag it in, and then it will remove the zoning of where we want it to be, where we don't want the zoning to be, and we will then be able to switch some of these roads to asymmetrical roads instead of the highway roads, to allow the traffic to have a little bit more breathing space and to help the game out a tad. I would like to try and go around this curve as well, if I'm honest, so I'm going to have to have a little play around and go around the curve. Let's go around the curve. And then we are able to use our asymmetrical roads to just flip some of these roads into asymmetrical ones to give us all of the turning lanes that we desire, that will then help the traffic out. By this road being the faster of the roads, though, I will say that space is already occupied. That is because of that road right there. Can I do that? No, not going to happen at all, is it? Oh dear, oh dear. I can't change that one road. I don't think that one connection is really going to make the biggest of trouble when it comes to our traffic. So not 100%, not really concerned about that. We'll then continue through our industry zone as well. Let's come out of underground view because I'm always stuck in that view, as you've seen this episode. And we'll then tweak that and tweak it all the way around so we have all of the turning lanes for all of the junctions as possible. So it helps the game out and it will help our traffic out, and then it will make these smaller areas when it comes to road connections a little bit more efficient. We're just going to break that road right there. We're then going to redraw that in so we can get a good double connection. Let's turn on all of the guidelines. Build him to there, and then there should be a node in the middle somewhere. No, there is not a node. Let's make a node. Let's force the game in a different way this time then. Let's do that instead. Now we can switch the roads around. That is how you switch that around, and then we're just going to delete that road like that, and then we can have the little node in the middle that will allow us. We have to redraw that fence back in. Excellent. And now let's time lapse and let this grow. It's not going to grow very well, but we'll see how it gets on. And there we go. It's starting to grow up. We're going to let this area grow up more and more and more. I had to add in some rough cable power lines because it wasn't connected, and I didn't realise that because I'm in an absolute derp. But that shouldn't matter. We are now going to end the episode there. Next episode we can come back, we can assess these rows to see if they are handling and living up to expectations or not. It's very simple road design that should hopefully be sufficient in this area, and then we'll add in a little bit of residence for this area as well next episode, and we'll do some park stuff as we try and make this a little bit more of an attractive area to come visit and live. So without further ado, thank you very much for watching. I've been TDavy1. This is City Skylines Vanilla Series. Hit like, hit subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.